It's okay to have a stance on something, and not everyone's going to agree with you, and that's totally fine. The dialogue being open to have those conversations, and just to say, like, unapologetically, like, this is my opinion and this is where it's coming from, and I know and I feel secure now that, like, all of the things that I say on the podcast come from a place of, like, I only want what's best for every single one of our girls that listen to us and that are in the group. Like, that's all I ever want. And so if I say something that comes off as like, ooh, girl, like, I feel like you have to just know that the backdrop is, like, no matter what, it's your health and wellness that I'm worried about, in all of ours, in our children's. So if I see something now, I just sort of chalk it up like, well, probably Mark will edit it out. And if he doesn't, and I listen to it back and it's still in there, and I'm like, oh. I just always remember that, like, it's okay to have a stance on something. It's okay to have an opinion. Not everyone's going to agree. But what the important thing is that, you know, I'm being authentic to who I am and coming from a perspective of always nothing but wanting the best for everyone that listens to us.
Yeah. It's just such an important part of where we came from before starting the podcast, is just, like, unique backgrounds of being a teacher and a social worker. A lot of the health and fitness podcasts that you listen to just come from that perspective. Just come from, okay, I've been in the fitness industry, I'm a trainer, or I am this, I'm that, and aren't thinking about the greater good kind of health and how important this topic is and how involved it is with people's mental health. And I really felt like that was a unique perspective that we came at health and wellness from our side of being like, okay, our ultimate goal is to make this world a better place.
Yeah, and I think the evolution of the podcast was to, like, just let that shine through. At the end of the day, I think what ended up happening, I don't even think we meant it, is just, like, who we really were just started to shine through, like, with our backgrounds with kids and stuff. And then all of a sudden it's sort of now, like, we're working towards a better humanity, and not just, like, how do we lose weight?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Not just how we lose weight, it's like, how do we change this whole dialogue we've created back and forth that has led to stalling of actual, you know, fat loss. We don't call it weight loss. If you ever listen to the podcast, we call it fat loss, but, like, it's led to this, like, stalling effect and this ripple effect that we've seen in families. And now we've, like, really been able to dive into that and figure out, like, how all of these things intertwine and how we can make it better. Now we can start to talk about our bodies, like, positively. Being able to be okay with having convictions and saying, like, this is what I believe. And we've taken some heat for that, for sure. I don't like to read any of the negative comments, but sometimes I do catch them. And one of them was like, if you don't agree with these girls, then you have to, you know, there's no space for you. They're knocking everything else. And I can't tell you how many times, if you've actually listened to the podcast, we say, like, if you found something that works for you and you love it and you're happy and you're a happy, healthy human, go for it. Like, I'm just gonna cheer you on no matter what. So we've taken some heat with some of the things that we've said, although the underlying message has always been just positive.
You read the hateful comments or, like, the negative stuff. I never do. I couldn't care less. I am living my truth. Live yours. Yeah. Shoo shoo, little fly. Yeah. I don't have time for that.
You do much. She does much better with that than I do. Sometimes I'm like, oh no, did I say something too harsh, or did I go at some angle too hard? And then I'm like, you know what?
What would Rachel say? I think that's from being a teacher. It's like, I from the very start have been like, listen, I'm not for everyone, okay?
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest, I'm not for everyone. I'm not here to please everyone, and that's not what I'm here for. If you're in my classroom, you're here to learn, and you're here to get my best. And that's what I'm gonna offer you every single time you walk in the door. Love me, hate me, I'm giving you my best. So.
Yeah. And they're not gonna get your best if it's censored, if it's watered down. It's not going to be your best.
Oh no, this is all there.
You get all of it.
All of it.
You get all of
it. You get the hair. You get it all.
How do we come up with topics for the podcast? A lot of our topics actually come from our Facebook group. The women, we've asked them for topics, and they've come up with some great ideas. A lot of our topics actually come still from our Facebook group, but not with direct questions that we've asked for a topic. Someone will post something in the group, and we'll say like, okay, this is something a lot of people are wondering about, and we've answered it a couple times. So we definitely need to expand and give more of an involved answer.
You know what also happens is on Thursdays you show up and we go like this. What are we going to talk about this week? And we stand and stare at each other for like a good solid 5 minutes, and then we're like, oh my God, supplements.
Yeah.
Supplements suck. Want to talk about how supplements suck? Or like you'll just like burst in the doors and be like, did you hear Weight Watchers has an app for kids? I'm fucking upset. And I'm like, well girl, let's sit down, put the microphone on.
Yeah.
We'll get it on. That's really probably what happens most.
That's true.
I mean, we definitely take from the Facebook group.
We have also evolved with our spaces that we've used. We started at the office.
That was just...
in our big, it was like where we record the weekly workouts in the gym, and we also have offices up there. We've grown very fast, so we have offices in the same place that we had the gym.
And we were trying to like everyone shut up. Yeah. We put up like a red light, and everyone had to shut up. No one could heat up their lunch. No one could go to the bathroom. If you flush the toilet, like it'll get on the podcast. People, remember Ronnie? Yeah. Remember? Yeah, I remember. Like, and it was tough because we were like right in the beginning. So if we did get an interruption, it was like hard to get back on track. Yeah. There's no season that it's good to record the podcast at the office. Because in the winter, we have these like propane blowers, and they're so loud. So we have to, in the winter, we had to turn off the heat. So we're sitting there in like 52 degrees being like, and in the summer, there's people outside walking by, and they're always yelling for some reason. So we have to shut all the windows, and we don't have air conditioning because we're real budget. And so like in the summer, it's just like sweltering. So we decided that was the last straw, I think. Yes.
Then we moved to a co-space.
That was cool.
It was cool, but it was a smaller room. Then we had Sharon. So it was just a shared space. It wasn't a podcast space. So Sharon comes knocking on the door. I have this room in 15 minutes. And we're like, no, you don't. Check the schedule.
Get out of here right now. I'm trying to report. But it was like a really echoey. It was a cool space. I really actually liked the space. When the first time I walked in, remember, Ronnie, we were like, oh my God, this is a really like, it was swanky and like downtown. And then we got in there and heard it, and it was like super echoey. Mm-hmm. And like the lighting was terrible in Sharon.
I have to say that I hate that gauge of how many calories did I burn during this session, because that's really not speaking to what you're burning throughout the day.
Yeah, that was no good. So now we're here.
Much better.
Much better.
Much better environment. The creative juices are flowing.
You think they are?
Well, you know.
This is my house, and it's annoying to me that I have to clean every Thursday for people to come here and podcast.
That's not even true. It's always clean anyways. Why is it so important to you to have started the podcast?
I think the podcast is important. I do think it's important. That's why I'm doing it, despite my reservations, because it's too important not to do. There are so many people that have said to us, like, change the trajectory of everything that I thought about my body, about how to keep it healthy and well, about how to talk to my children about their body. I'm not trying to say that what we're saying is revolutionary. I don't think it is. And a lot of the times I'm like, when we discuss topics, I'm like, we're really gonna talk about this? This is common sense. But what's common sense to us and the way we have been living is just not the general message that's like, it seems like common sense to me that like you need to love yourself first before you start doing anything else. And other people are like, wow, I've never ever like said anything positive about my body or thought about like loving my body and treating it well because I love it instead of because I hate it. And it's like, wow, I think that the number one reason that this is an important podcast is just because like the women that it's brought together to hear these messages that are now going to go out in the world and spread these messages, like, let's go, right? That's how I think about it. Like, the women that listen to our podcast have friends, and they have friends, and they have friends, and this could be the new norm of like how we talk about our bodies, how we feel about our bodies. And that's why I think it's important stuff.
I think it's an enormous ripple effect. And women that listen to the podcast and not only share it with their friends or start to change their dialogue with how they talk about their bodies, you know, their kids hear that, their friends hear that. And we've created this culture kind of complaining and self-doubt and hatred. And that has really become fundamental in women's health, I think. And if you even listen to any of the other podcasts or health and wellness that's targeted at women, it starts with this 90-day fix, 30-day fix. Tone up. It starts with this whole idea of you are so imperfect.
You're broken.
You need to be something else. And here's the way you do it. Look like this person in this amount of days. Look at all these other people. You need to look more like them. I just think that starts us out on a place of shame and hatred for your body that we can't begin there. We can't start with hatred for our husbands because they lose weight quicker. Or we can't start with, oh my God, I have to be more like her. Because I think that has started this dialogue between each other that I had started to hear. Remember I told you I went into the locker room and heard these women being like, well, you don't have this because I have this cellulite and I have this, and look at this part of my body. Oh, I just hate it. And oh, you have perfect, you know, these. And I was like, what is happening? Like, why are we, the only way that we were seeing compliments given to other women was by tearing ourselves down. And no wonder why we have felt uncomfortable complimenting women or noticing things that they're doing well.
It's almost more acceptable to be like, I'm hideous, look at all these imperfections, than to say like, you know what, I PR'd my 5K time. Like, did you see how good my butt looked in those leggings right there? Like, that's odd behavior.
I think it's just so important for someone to tell you it's okay and it is encouraged to celebrate your accomplishments. But you can listen to our podcast on Stitcher, iTunes, anywhere where you listen, Spotify, anywhere where you listen to podcasts, and it's the Thick Thighs Save Lives podcast.
Yeah, if you give a topic, we'll come together and stare at each other. Want to talk about that? Does that make you mad? And you could definitely hear your suggestion, because we're always taking suggestions, because this podcast is for you. It literally is for you. It exists because of you, and we want nothing more than for you to get the most out of it possible. So take a listen and see what you think and let us know. Rachel, you're aggressive. Yeah, I know. I know I am.